We're here today to discuss some neighborhood issues that we find compelling. It impacts the quality of life of residents that live in this immediate area. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've been getting reports from our local the police department and the mayor's office as well, saying how crime has diminished and how well we're doing because we have so many more police officers on the street to respond to calls, needs of service for residents. And as we applaud those things, we believe those things are awesome. We do understand that more police does not mean or equal less crime. There's no data that supports more officers, less crime. As a matter of fact, we have data that would suggest that more officers, more crime. But the reason why we're here, we want to make sure that we're giving a platform to members of the community that are invested in this area, homeowners, renters, people who love the area that they live in, and they feel like that they need the support from local government as it relates to police response, as it relates to the crime that they're enduring in their area. Um, Over the past several weeks, resident Mr. Foster has been working really hard to get the attention of the mayor's office as well as common council members about what's happening here in this direct area. I support Mr. Foster for a couple different reasons, but mainly because I am his representative. I am the second district member of the common council. I work for him directly. And so I wanted to make sure that Mr. Foster, the rest of the residents in this area, not only know that I care about their concerns, but I want to make sure that they have the ability to air them out and have the platform so that the rest of the world can hear what's happening and hopefully getting a response from the mayor's office, from the mayor himself. Um, Mr. Foster has been down to the South Bend Common Council meeting, maybe about 4 or 5 different times, 4 different weeks, and Mr. Foster has been ignored. There has been countless emails that have been sent out by Mr. Foster, and he's being ignored. There is another gentleman that's standing behind me right now, Mr. Davis. Same situation. Mr. Davis is a cousin of mine, and so he has also made phone calls. He has also sent emails. He has also attended council meetings to ensure that there was a response from the local government about the crime, about the actions of his neighborhood. And to no avail, no one is responding. So I wanted to make sure that I created a platform to support the members of this community and give them the voice that they deserve to have. And so I'm going to pull back and allow Mr. Foster and Mr. Davis to have their discussion.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Councilman Davis for giving us this platform, and then I want to thank the press for coming out to also give us this platform. So personally, I have two main areas of concern: safety and city officials refusing to meet with the residents of South Bend. In my attempt to deal with public safety, I have tried to contact Mayor James Mueller over 20 times. I have called his office through 311 countless times. I went to the 14th floor of the county city building in person multiple times. I have sent dozens of emails. I went to the mayor's night out to request a formal meeting. I contacted the common council to get a meeting with the mayor, and I even attempted to use social media to reach him. Mayor James Mueller is unreachable. That is why we are here today with Councilman Davis. The mayor may try to dismiss this as political theater, as he has with other things, but our life and safety is not political theater. I purchased my home on College Street based on the numbers represented on the Police Transparency Hub. The Police Transparency Hub showed that there have only been 2 shots fired events inside of the Olive, Elwood, Diamond, and Lincoln Way area since January 1st of this year. The real number is closer to 180. An average of 20% of the monthly shots fired events citywide happen in this area. We average over 20 shots fired events monthly in this area per the SBPD monthly stats meetings, and they do not even report all of the documented cases. In instances where they have came out and picked up bullet casings on the ground, Those did not even make the monthly stats or the transparency hub. Multiple residents have reported this from all over the city. Multiple examples were brought up by a resident at the last crime meeting as well. Crime and gunfire are not down. Maybe how crime and gunfire are being reported may be down. If you look at the police transparency hub today, the transparency hub will make it appear that our city and neighborhood is without crime. That is simply not true. One example of this is on our street here on College Street. Police responded to 911 calls 74 times in a 6-month period. Of those 74 911 calls, PD has created a case or report only 8 times. That's less than 10% of the time they file the paperwork, even when a resident demands charges be filed.
A car literally damn near ran over everybody on the sidewalk. I want to press charges on her. No, she lived right there in this green and white house though. She literally tried to run the kids over. She'd be back, though. And she said she was coming back.
When I brought this concern to the attention of Assistant Chief Dan Skivens, he told me that 10% reports generated on my street was a good number, a number he was proud of. In citywide, South Bend may get 300 911 calls per day, and they will only create 30 reports or cases. For comparison, I pulled an April request on a random street in Mishawaka. Mishawaka PD created 141 cases on 165 reports. That's over 85.5%. 10% is not a good number. For the city and its officials to justify 10% on my street, that's a crime. The west side of South Bend is not being taken seriously by the mayor. The west side of South Bend is not being taken seriously by police reporting. The west side of South Bend is not being taken seriously by the city's budget. And the west side of South Bend is not being taken seriously by code enforcement. We deserve answers. Where's the mayor? Where's Mayor James Mueller?
You mentioned a number like 140, you believe. Where do you get that number from?
Are you talking about the 911 responses? Those were April requests, so public record requests.
And that's also just something you observed just living around. You talk to your neighbors about this?
Yeah, some is talking to our neighbors, and some is that as we're living here, you see the police lights, and you see that, hey, 911's been out here a lot. And when we moved here, when we were looking to buy a house, my wife and I, we sat down, looked at the police transparency hub, and we said, based on that, this is a safe neighborhood. There's not a lot of 911 coming out here. There's not a lot of crime. But it's crazy that there's a recent uptick in crime since we moved here. And then that's when I started pulling the records requests, and it's not new. They just didn't want us to know that. So if that was online, we wouldn't have bought our home. And I think that's what they're trying to do.
You're not from the area?
I'm from the area. I've been in South Bend my whole life, but I'm not from this part of South Bend, or the College Street area.
And that's more than 100 911 calls, but not specifically shots fired?
Not all of them are shots fired, no, but the shots fired calls are not on the transparency hub either.
But some of those could be not actually shots fired. They typically have to go through, they have to meet requirements to be on the transparency hub. Those could be someone called in a shots fired and it was fireworks or something like that.
Well, I'll give you an example. In my backyard, we had video footage of 2 gentlemen shooting at each other, and the police came out and picked up the bullet casings in my backyard, and I turned the video over to the police. So Assistant Chief Skivens, Officer Bourne, different officers had that footage, and that's not on the transparency hub, and that's midsummer.
So you believe they may not all be violent crimes or crimes that resulted in injury, but they should be reported?
I believe they all should be reported. So I believe that the verifiable crime should be on there.
You think they're not?
I know that they're not.
mentioned there's been more policing in this area, but you also mentioned that there's statistics that show that policing doesn't prevent crime. If not police presence, what can the city do to prevent crime?
Well, we're talking about community planning right now. We're talking about neighborhood planning. You're talking about city services again. We have to be in a position where we're planning for the benefit and success of that particular area. We can't just say, "Hey, we have a few dollars, we're going to invest in the area," and just walk away from it. Every neighborhood deserves a plan. Every area deserves a response and a respect of the elected official. And so, if we're not doing those jobs, then we don't deserve to be elected to office, nor do we deserve to be downtown. We said that we were going to be leaders. We said we're going to help lead the charge. We're going to help design plans and work for the benefit of the community. And when you have stories as such as Mr. Foster's talking about when it relates to police response, that conflicts with the transparency hub, when you have issues that conflict that Mr. Davis is bringing up with making sure that people are matching up to the standards that are in our code book, then you have a problem. There is a huge problem. We cannot continue to have the neglect that we have been suffering, because when we have the neglect that we're suffering from, our city continues to die.
And say they do start reporting each and every incident. These 911 calls are on the transparency hub to a degree that everyone feels is fair. Then what?
Then what? Then that means that we have more work to do. That's our job. I'm talking about the job of the elected official. Our job is to ensure a safe, viable community. That's what we said we were going to do when we run for office. We said that we were going to make sure you're safe. We're going to make sure that your tax base is expanded, that your kids can flourish in the neighborhoods that they live in. That's what we say, right? And so we are looking for that outcome. Obviously, these gentlemen are not receiving an outcome. These families are not receiving that outcome. That's why I'm standing here, because we need more work. We need more leadership. We need better leadership when it comes to that. Right?
You fear that some of these things might fall through the cracks, considering you won't be there anymore after?
Well, I don't fear anything. What I do is work until I'm not supposed to work anymore. My job ends December 31st, 2023, and that's when I stop working. Right. So up till the end, I'm going to continue to do my job, and I enjoy doing my job. Will these things fall through the cracks? I have no idea. You may have better leadership, you may have worse leadership. I have no idea. I don't know what that is. But I'm going to continue to do my job until, time says no more.
Plan to remain active?
Yeah, I'm going to remain active until December 31st, 2023.
If I could clarify one thing on the stats. So they have two different statistics for, they have shootings and they have shots fired. So if you pop off one shot, that falls under the shots fired statistic. And then they have shootings, which is more of an assault, someone got hit, and then there's the fatal. So all of the stuff that we're talking about, the shots fired, that's any type of gunshot.
And that's the one that you believe is inaccurate.
Right. And so if you go to the monthly crime stat meetings that I have to pronounce, that I can send you guys as well, that they could show 80 to 100 monthly shots fired events in the city any given month, and that's where 20% of those happen in this area, and those are the ones that are not making to the transparency hub. So that's when you were asking about the it has to be injury or violence. I'm not asking them to recategorize that. They already have categorized that and broken that down.
And I guess what I was getting at with another question was, it's on the page, so what? It's less about stopping the crime, preventing it, but more so that you would have been more aware purchasing your home.
Right. I would have not moved here. We would not have bought this home here, but that's the second part of that, is to bring awareness to it. So many people don't believe it's happening. Okay, so many people want to be in the dark about it. And so we want to bring light to an issue that's happening citywide, and then we can tackle an issue. You can't tackle an issue that people don't believe is happening.
Your one question on shots fired, it could be 20, 30 shots in that one shot fired. And that's happened. We have record of that.
Correct.
Documents.
And something I've turned into the South Bend police is they'll have 5 shot fired events, but there was 85 rounds fired in those 5 events. or just here on the corner down here, there was 38 rounds on one of these events. That's another